You ready now, Janet? Okay, I apologize again. And with it being 6:35, we would like to call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board, I would like a motion to approve the agenda for December 15th, 2022 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Patron and Mr. Lang. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. And Ms. Joels, it's now your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Lang. Before we get started with our official recognitions, I just want to recognize and thank the Hollenbeck band students who so graciously shared their time and talents with us this evening. And thank you to their teacher, Mrs. Doherty, for coordinating the musical selections we enjoyed before the meeting. I think you guys should come back every meeting from here on. That's great. Tonight we have the honor of recognizing our 2022 Emerson Excellence in Teaching Award winners. The Emerson Excellence in Teaching Awards, now in its 33rd year, is one of the St. Louis region's most recognized teacher recognition programs. Honorees are selected by their school's administrators for their accomplishments and dedication to their students and the teaching profession. Winners receive an engraved crystal apple from Tiffany & Co. and are recognized in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Tonight, they're only going to get a certificate, so they already got the real award. We are excited to celebrate Jennifer Doherty and Lori Rupp, who are among the 87 St. Louis area teachers selected this year as examples of truly outstanding educational excellence. And I'll read just a few excerpts from each of their nomination letters, and then I'll call them forward to receive their certificate. So first up, Jennifer Doherty is a band teacher at Hollenbeck Middle School. She's been there for 24 years. She serves as the department leader of the Fine Arts and Practical Arts team at Hollenbeck and has led multiple school improvement efforts. She has also coordinated efforts to bring the community into the school through Veterans Day celebrations, Halloween spooktaculars, and other events. In her nomination letter, Principal Dr. Allie Klaus says, as a skilled educator, Jen's ability to take a student with little to no experience with a variety of instruments and be able to grow them into passionate artists and performers is unmatched. This is a testament to her expertise and enthusiasm that is brought into her classroom each day. She has a keen mind for understanding the needs of each student through her personal experiences and love of young people, both inside and outside the classroom. Additionally, she brings together her colleagues as she is a conduit to solve problems, build continuity among teachers, and is highly respected among her peers. Ms. Doherty is truly a gift to the Hollenbeck community and is well deserving of this recognition. Her humble and steadfast approach to leadership, education, supporting individuals, and care for all is an inspiration and should be commended. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Jennifer Doherty for this Emerson Excellence in Teaching Award.
Thank you. I had her kid too. I better sit down a little bit. There you go. Perfect.
Next, we would like to recognize Mrs. Lori Rupp, who has served as a family and consumer sciences teacher at Francis Howell High School for the past 7 years, with 25 total years of service with the Francis Howell School District. Administrators at Howell High credit Mrs. Rupp for the tremendous growth they've seen in the Family and Consumer Science Department since her arrival. She was also instrumental in the creation of the Teaching as a Career Pathways program, and due to the high level of success of that particular program, she has had several state qualifiers in the Ed Rising competition. Her nomination letter reads, in part, Mrs. Rupp sets herself apart from her colleagues through a tremendous dedication to her students and department. Her passion for teaching is evident in everything she does. She is an expert at developing concrete experiences for her students, which provide a tangible product, allowing her to make content-specific connections as she delivers instruction. I cannot think of a better person to receive this award than Mrs. Rupp. Not only is she a tremendous classroom teacher who utilizes exceptional educational processes within her classroom, which creates phenomenal results, but she is also developing the future of our profession and her dedication to the implementation of our Teaching as a Career Pathways program. You will not find a more talented, dedicated, caring, and compassionate educator. Please join me in congratulating Mrs. Lori Rupp.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Francis Howell North Principal, Mr. Jeff Fletcher, to the podium to introduce our student board representative for the evening.
Good evening, board. Tonight I get the pleasure of introducing our student rep from Francis Howell North, Mr. Grant Killian. Grant is currently a junior at Francis Howell North. He is also the junior class president, a member of National Honor Society. He is a member of the Night Pride Marching Band, the Jazz Band, and Wind Ensemble. He is a member of our huddle. He is a huddle leader for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, a student council parliamentarian, a basketball manager, and also a tennis player. Grant Killian.
Welcome, Grant. We're excited to have you here. Feel free to make any kind of comments at any time you want. Just Miss Janet will show you how to do it, and the only thing you can't do is vote. Welcome.
Grant's quite familiar, I think, with how the board meetings work. You probably noticed he's attended 90% of them, I think, so he's well on his way. Finally, I'll turn it over now to our social studies content leader, Mr. Matt Van Horn, to provide tonight's best practice presentation on the Youth and Government program.
Good evening, board, patrons, guests. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening to talk to you a little bit about one of the programs that they offer at a few of our schools, the Youth in Government and the Civic Leadership Institute programs. As Ms. Jill said, I am the K-12 Social Studies content leader, and I was able this year to go and be a part of the Youth in Government program. So just a little bit about the background of this program. It was established in 1936 by the YMCA, and annually serves 47,000 students in 49 states. The Missouri program, the Missouri program joined in 1949 and has served over 10,000 Missouri youth. In 2007, the middle school program, the Civic Leadership Institute, was added as a way of allowing students to get used to the programs and get a feel for how youth in government is run. And the Francis Howell School District has been part of this program for over 45 years. The mission of this program is to allow teenagers to be responsible citizens and exercise their critical thinking, their professional skills, their leadership, their character. And the goal of the program is to really allow the students this hands-on experience of the political awareness and understanding while learning the meaning of the government experience. Our schools attend the first of the two conferences. There's a Lewis Conference and then there's the Clark Conference. Our students attend the 3-day conference in Jefferson City, and this is at the Missouri State Capitol. The whole idea around this is that immersive 3 days that they are there. They have worked on prior to this, writing bills, establishing how to do parliamentary procedures, debating, really going into what government is like, so then when they get there, they can actually go through this program. Forgot to say, we do have one of our CLI, our Civic Leadership Institute sponsors, Andrea Jant, here this evening supporting us. The Francis Howell School District sends around 100 kids annually between our two programs. This year, 2 of our 3 high schools sent students to the program, and 1 of our 5 middle schools. This year, we were also able to form a cooperative with our students from some schools that did not have a delegation, being able to go and join students from one of the other delegations. I'd really like to see some of our schools allowing this opportunity for all of our students to go. This would be a great opportunity for students, and I don't really like that some schools don't have that avenue. So just being able to open it up, even if it is using that cooperative, I think is great for all of our students. Our high school sponsor was unable to be here this evening to talk to us, but we do have one of our standout students, Avery Smith from Francis Howell, to say a few words about the program.
Good evening, my name is Avery Smith and I'm a junior at Francis Howell High School. I began MOAG my sophomore year as a way to get more involved at school. Little did I know that it would completely change my life. At my first Youth in Government conference, I participated in the judicial program. I learned how to read cases, find case law, create arguments, and improve my public speaking skills. It was at this conference that I received the top score out of over 300 attorneys for my oral arguments, moved on to the semifinal debate round, and was given the Outstanding Attorney Award. It was because of this conference that I discovered my passion for learning about our judicial system. Prior to YAG, I had no idea what I wanted to do after high school. Government and politics had always been interesting to me, but I had never seriously considered pursuing it as a career until attending YAG. Earlier this year, I applied for the Youth in Government Youth Changemakers program. Through this program, I was selected to be the Missouri delegate at the National Youth in Government Changemakers Conference in Washington, D.C. At this conference, I met with our senators to discuss my Changemakers project, which addressed the issue of inaccurate and harmful nutrition and eating disorder education being taught in health classes, as well as the YMCA's legislative priorities. It was through this program that I was able to get firsthand experience with how legislation is created, which has really helped me to better understand the topics I am currently learning in AP Gov. Recently, I was chosen to represent Missouri at the Youth in Government program for the Youth Advocate program. Through this program, I was able to learn about different roles of Congress, advocacy, and how I can use it to help strengthen my community, and the importance of being educated on the issues and candidates in your area. All of these programs have taught me so many lessons that I have been able to apply to all aspects of my life. I now have a deep understanding of government and politics, which has allowed me to succeed in AP Gov. I have become a better writer, which has helped me succeed in English class, and I have discovered my goal of becoming a lawyer, which has pushed me to pursue success in all of my other classes. MOAG has changed my life, along with many others, by providing the opportunity to get first-hand experience with government and politics. There truly is no other program like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Avery. Just this year, these are some of the awards, and I know there are many. We can go back to them later. But there are many awards. These are, again, just from our students, from the around 100 students that we were able to take this year. This program is amazing, as we heard firsthand, just one account. I do truly know that our students all have learned so much from this that both helps them academically as well as to be individuals in society. So just a quote to leave us with, the beginning of every government starts with the education of our youth. And again, I thank you for the opportunity just to share a little bit of this with you this evening.
Thank you. Okay, next up we will have patron comments. During patron comments, residents of the district and staff members are invited to address the Board of Education on issues related to the school district. Speakers are called forward in the order of sign-up, and each speaker has 3 minutes to make their remarks. Please remember that only one speaker is allowed at the podium at a time, and combining time or giving your time to someone else is not permitted. The board appreciates that you have taken the time to come this evening, and we value both your input and perspective. I would like to remind everyone that we expect the speakers will remain civil and respectful when given remarks. If anyone fails to comply with board policies, regulations, and rules, we reserve the right to cut those 3 minutes short. For your convenience, our 3-minute clock is ready, and we welcome Jamie Martin to step forward.
Good evening. My comment tonight is the first of many you will hear in support of diversity and equity in our district. Last month, our community heard from both a patron and a board member whose comments were racially insensitive and factually unsound. Sadly, this is a pattern. In October, it was suggested that if teachers attended conference sessions in order to learn about the challenges faced by students with LGBTQ+ identities, teachers might violate school policy by engaging in inappropriate conversations concerning students' sexual experiences. This extreme dedication to a single viewpoint and to limiting diversity of thought shows a concerning level of intolerance. But in October, when I approached the board member to share my concerns, he responded with a focus on academic excellence and getting back to basics. To demonstrate the need for a more whole child view, I shared these experiences from my own classroom. I once taught a student who was released from a behavioral unit after living there for an extended period of time and who was a foster child. It was my responsibility to help him and the other students in my class interact in ways that would maximize learning. I taught students who have lost their parents. One student's mother passed from breast cancer in May, and she spent the last few months of her mom's life in my English class. Another student's parents died just months before, and he spent much of the first year without his father learning to write middle school essays with me. I've taught refugees who were in their first year of learning a new language and also healing from seeing war and death up close. And I've taught Black children in Normandy who taught me more about myself and education than I'd learned in the 8 years before I became their teacher. Some of them were gay. Mr. Cook, if teachers are going to teach the basics, if they're going to push academic excellence, we must, and you must, learn some skills in dealing with the diversity of the human condition. Tonight we have a gift for all board members, a book which speaks to the ways in which discriminatory practices have created and sustained the equity gap for students of color. A note inside each book will read, all children in our district deserve a learning environment that fosters intellectual and personal growth and general well-being. Race remains one of the most powerful predictors of how children fare in our public institutions. Opening our eyes, minds, and hearts to inequity is the first step to effecting positive change. When we know better, we do better. We invite the board to read this book and discuss it with equity-minded community members in February. And then, sir, board, we invite you to do better.
Next up, we have Courtney Camp.
Hi, my name is Courtney and I use she, her pronouns. I am speaking to student preparedness for the future in relation to comments made at the last board meeting by Mr. Cook and doing it the best way I know how, which is providing perspective on some of my story as in contrast to the rich opportunity my child has at Francis House School District. I went to high school in a rural district. It was a very small town. My graduating class, just 18 people. The funding was 50% coming from local sources and 15% coming from state fed, not that different from us. To put it into perspective, their district operates on a budget of which is around 1.2% of our district budget. Yes, I know population produces funding, but what you need to know also is that population number was on purpose, as my hometown is part of the larger St. Louis regional history of racism and segregation. I am still learning that specific history. But going back to funding, let's just say opportunities weren't abundant. No art program, no football or soccer teams, no after-school programs, no AP classes. It was pretty back to the basics, I guess you would say. My high school was one of two in the county I grew up in, with whom we shared all community resources, churches, local grain elevators, etc., all except for the public schools. For years, the two districts, about 20 minutes of a drive from one another, had been on the path to consolidation, but despite well-planned proposals, sharing our resources always got shut down by adults in the community over inability to come together. Sorry. My alma mater faced the brunt of that and continues to do so today. You will find class sizes of 3 students, freshman class students, while the other district is benefiting from parents buying second homes up north 20 minutes away so their children can access many resources my alma mater lost. Now, I think we can all agree that is some privileged and very questionable practices. In the meantime, more opportunities lost for my alma mater, the most devastating for me being the music program. I was a band kid too. Today I work in the fashion industry. I'm an apparel designer by trade, which at one point for a young girl, at 15 to 16 years old, seemed an impossible dream career. I am in this career today because growing up in such a small town didn't necessarily provide me all these same opportunities my child has, but it did allow me access to small class sizes and endless access to support of my teachers, and they were deeply invested in me and I in them. So much so that when I approached my principal with curriculum I had created as an independent study on fashion drawing, he supported me for approval. So I had a portfolio to apply to art school. And it worked. I got into a great school, and here I am today doing what I love in an industry that feels impossible to change despite the massive need. And that change is what I hope for all of our kids in this district, for them to be able to join that industry and help that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Next up, we have Angie Quigley.
Hello, board. My name is Angie Quigley, and I am the parent of a kindergartner here in the district. And he came to me with a problem that he wanted to solve, and so we talked about how can we solve it, and here we are for family night at the school board meeting. So Colin's problem is that he doesn't want to purchase school lunch because of the amount of trash that is generated. So every kid, when they get lunch, they have a styrofoam tray that's disposable with a styrofoam plate and then a styrofoam bowl, maybe a plastic bowl, but all of it, he says, goes straight to the landfill. And so he wanted to make sure that the district was aware that this was happening. I went ahead and checked the website to see what the policy is on sustainability. And there is actually, I'm sure as you know, there's a page on sustainability which states that the district is committed to modeling environmental stewardship. And also that schools use reusable plastic lunch trays and baskets. And so just let you know that's not happening. We're using styrofoam, it's all going in the trash. And totally get that, you know, it's been a crazy few years. Maybe we had to do things a little bit differently. So I think everybody could use some grace, you know, in a lot of areas. But if we've gotten off track, maybe we can brainstorm on how to get back to using the reusable trays. I know there's issues with labor and, you know, cost and whatnot, but I'm sure if we put our heads together, we can figure out how to model good stewardship for the earth. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Marissa Polson.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Polzine, and I have 3 kids in the district. I felt compelled, I've spoken here before, but I felt compelled to come here tonight after the board meeting last month. We have an amazing district, but we can improve. I mean, we all can improve. We have to work together with open minds and hearts and willingness to listen to other experiences that are different from ours and to be able to have these conversations using facts. I believe it's my job as a parent to give my kids all the tools that they're going to need to go out into the world. Now, we all get to choose our tools, what religion we want to teach our kids, interpersonal relationships, not to be Cubs fans, but we get to instill those values in our kids. I believe, so in this room, just think about how many values we have. So I believe as a result of that, it is the school district's job to prepare our kids to thrive in a diverse workplace and community, because that's what we've got. Black and brown people, people of different religions or no religion, LGBTQ plus people exist. These are indisputable facts. That these groups of humans are marginalized and have had different experiences than I have, facts. Just like this fact, my daughter's dyslexic. She has had to start 5 miles behind everybody else. She has an IEP. She has been in intervention since kindergarten in this district, and I'm not gonna cry like I want to, but you guys are amazing. This district is phenomenal. And I have the privilege of being able to give her extra tutoring so that she can be at the same starting point as most of the other kids. That's equity. Giving each student what they need to be successful. Our teachers are highly educated specialists. They deeply care for our children as whole people, not as grades. We need to continue to give them the tools and training to support each child for what they need to be successful. And frankly, give these teachers more in order to do that, but that's for another day. I hear the word indoctrination being thrown out at these meetings, and indoctrination is to teach someone to fully accept the ideas, opinions, and beliefs of a particular group, and not to consider other ideas and opinions and beliefs. Between wanting to censor what everyone's kids can check out from the library, asking to pull elective Black history courses, it appears that some want to have, even though we have the ability to not do those things, those choices are going to be taken away from my children. And I think diversity of thought is super important. I truly hope that we can tamp down this national rhetoric, really listen to each other. I don't sit down and go talk to everybody in here that would disagree with me. Let's sit down and face the real issues that are at our district. And I believe a starting point is to create a district DEI position.
Next up, we have Kaylee Windmiller.
Hi all. So I wrote this speech and rewrote it like 10 times. So I'm not going to read it all tonight. I'm just going to read a brief the ending actually. But next month I will be back to hopefully give you my entire speech. Basically, I hope that you all enjoy the upcoming holidays with loved ones as we say goodbye together yet another year of our lives. May 2023 bring us the strength, courage, and leadership needed in order to continue to push this district forward while making space for all along the way. Thank you.
Next up, we have Jarrett Pillsbury.
I was prepared, but then Greg's here. So now I had to step it up. Anyway, good evening, board. Good to see all of you. I believe it was Abraham Lincoln who once said, "You can't believe everything you read on the internet." And perhaps Ronald Reagan who asked, "When is my money, the Nigerian prince promised me through email, going to get here already?" Now I realize that most everyone understands these things are total fantasy made up during the dawn of the internet. One to make us think and laugh, and one to part us from our money and not get laughs. And in 2022, no one should be falling for these things as being remotely factual. Yet too many times people accept through a game of telephone, now played mostly over the internet and social media, how my best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid who's going with a girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious. But seriously, the game of telephone you heard, however you heard it, it isn't reliable. It's not a source. Or maybe if you do try, just Google it on your next big assignment. Let us all know how that turns out. Grant, give that a go, report back. I've witnessed a person engaging in Facebook comments about children identifying as cats in a classroom setting. Ridiculous. I volunteered at the polls last April, and one person in the board was with me when a voter came up to ask about the Board of Education race. That voter let us know that Hillary was working with stem cells to create AI, and she would be voting today against all of that. Not sure what to do, what any of that had to do with school board, but okay. And I'll close by saying, as sitting board member, you, Director Cook, invoking as part of your argument a Nazi Educator Alliance organization in the context of professional development workshops is both ludicrous and an embarrassment to the district. Get a new analogy, please. We wouldn't accept any of these statements in a business setting or other vocation, in a classroom essay, and we shouldn't accept this when it comes to our school district and making key decisions, or any decisions for that matter. We want to prepare our students to thrive in a diverse and modern 21st century workplace and community where critical thinkers, thought leaders, hard workers, and growth mindsets are sought after, and no one is more sought after than a graduate of Francis Howell, thanks to our rigorous academic standards, quality education, dedicated support and staff, and all of our families here in support from a community and the administration community committed to excellence. We want to invest in a school district, this school district, to move Francis Howell forward. I welcome an opportunity to connect with you, speak with you after the board meeting to discuss ways we can make this district an even better example of academic excellence in Missouri and beyond. Thank you. I hope everyone has a happy holiday and a restful break. And if you want to just talk about Ferris Bueller's Day Off afterwards, I'm good for that too. Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have Carrie Zolkowski.
Hello, happy holidays, everyone. Thank you to district leadership for the opportunities for parents and community members to participate and engage in district events. I attended the second roundtable last month and it was very informative and well organized. I hope opportunities like this continue to be scheduled. I have 3 messages to share with you tonight. Number 1, Francis Howell's mission statement states that the district is, quote, empowering students to be lifelong learners prepared for the future, end quote. As we look toward the future, the world for our children continues to become more and more diverse. We must continue to make all students and families feel welcome and safe in our schools through initiating equitable and inclusive practices. I like the existing mission, but I challenge the district to expand the mission to include empowering students with 21st century skills in order to prepare them to thrive in a diverse workforce in the future, and hopefully a more equitable and inclusive community as well. Number 2, our teachers and staff members are amazing individuals who truly care about students and their futures. As a community, we need to trust our teachers and our school staff. Directors Cook and Bertrand, I urge you to reconsider your votes regarding travel requests going forward. We must support our teachers and content leaders in their professional development. Any sessions on diversity, equity, and inclusion and/or on LGBTQ+ individuals must be looked at as opportunities to support all students in our schools. Number 3, some in our school community are making the word equity a scary word. It's really not. It's just a best practice to make sure everyone gets what they need. Let me share an example of educational equity that I see at FHN where I have 2 ninth graders. Nighttime meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This opportunity allows clubs and tutoring to occur during the school day. My daughter is an athlete and is involved in speech and debate, and even though she's really busy after school, she can participate in an environmental club during nighttime. Students can also use this time to check in with teachers for extra help or finish a project during the school day. This week, my son completed a math test that he missed when he was sick. Even though I'm sure nighttime has some negatives, like less time in core classes on those days, I think it's a step in the right direction to make sure that all students have access to clubs and interventions. However, as we look to the future, I would love to take it a step further by having the district provide activity buses at the end of the day after activities and practices. FHN also offers tutoring after school that my child could benefit from, but my kids are only 14 and can't drive yet, and who knows if they'll have a car when they're 16. I know transportation is very expensive and bus driver positions are currently understaffed here as well as nationwide, but as we look to the future, perhaps activity buses can be considered to help all students access the amazing opportunities in the Francis Howell District. This idea would help support access, equity, and inclusion in our district. Again, happy holidays to all, and here's to a 2023 that is equitable and inclusive for all students.
Next up, we have Emily Whittingham.
Hi, I'm Emily Whittingham. First, I want to say that I went to school on Parkway, and we did have activity buses. And I was shocked when I came here that we didn't. So, since I was a stay-at-home mom, so I became the activity bus. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm Emily Whittingham, and now my speech is going to be too short. Okay. So I've watched the last few board meetings and I've been appalled at some of the things I've listened to. Speaker saying our children are going to hell. What's that about? Speaker also said we changed gender identity to sexual orientation. These are different things, not different names for the same things. Saying there are churches that are banning talking about God. Where? How is any of this relevant to what's going on in our district? I was shocked to learn that board members are not approving travel expenses for conferences because there happens to be sessions pertaining to LGBTQ students. Rejecting them because you can't support it doesn't change the fact that these students exist. They have struggles and need help. Looking for statistics for the speech, I found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempted suicide in the past year. And 60% of LGBTQ youth who wanted mental health care in the past year were not able to get it. If you're a school board member, it doesn't matter if you personally are not supportive of LGBTQ as a concept, you should still care about all the students in the district. One of the new members also said they should focus on academics. LGBTQ students are more likely to miss school because they feel unsafe and more likely to drop out. Can't focus on academics if students aren't in school. Then there's a certain president of a certain PAC who spoke about last meeting and went on this racist rant. It was dreadful, going on and on about random black people not being convicted of crimes who live on the other side of the country. It has nothing to do with issues pertaining to our school district in the here and now. I have no doubt that this person would not say that his words are racist, but if black and brown people are telling you that your words are racist, they most likely are. He also lies. He said on a radio program with County Council Brazel that St. Charles is the most conservative county in Missouri, a fact that's very easy to look up. Of the 114 counties in Missouri, 108 had higher percentage of voters voting red. I know this seems off topic, but when you have a president of a political PAC who helped elect 2 school board seats and wants 3 more seats who lies, people really should know about it. If anything I've said upsets anybody listening, absolutely vote appropriately in April. Only 7% of registered voters voted in the last election.
Next up, we have Amy Greider.
Hi, thanks, board. So I grew up in this district, moved away for a little time after college, but I moved back 9 years ago because I wanted my kids to grow up here and thrive in the same schools I did. I love St. Charles. I'm very proud of this district. That said, a weirdly fearful climate over a more equity-embracing world seems to be lingering over this community as of late, like an oppressive fog, and no one sees clearly in fog. School boards work with their communities to improve student achievement in public schools. Our school board champions our district's mission of empowering students to be lifelong learners prepared for the future. We've heard that a number of times tonight. I wonder how we can prepare our learners, though, for the future by shielding them from the diversity, complexity, and challenge they'll face, instead of guiding them through it in an academically appropriate way, like we always have. Knowledge is nothing to fear. Exposing learners to information so they understand something is vastly different than activism and instilling personal values around it. We serve our children and each other best when we model our district mission of being lifelong learners ourselves. As adults, we must embrace knowledge and engage each other respectfully. Public schools have the unique challenge of supporting all families with their different backgrounds, needs, and beliefs. So in public schools, diversity is necessarily embraced and nurtured. Our learners are not empowered when they are not embraced for all of their diversity. Let's also empower our teachers. The recent denials, I've heard this several times tonight too, go figure, it must be resonating. The recent denials of teacher requests for continuing education feels anything but empowering. I think it's safe to assume that our teachers know what continuing education would help them best in their work, and that they always have the best interests of our children at the core of everything they do, because 100% they do. There's no way they would ever sign up for the work that they do otherwise every day. Denying a teacher request because 2% of a conference's session summaries included words that a given board member opposes. In the corporate world, we'd call that micromanaging. And it doesn't help retain good employees, and it won't help us retain great teachers. Parents retain the responsibility to instill morals and values in our children. And as our kids are exposed to all kinds of things life throws at them, we're sometimes pulled into difficult and uncomfortable conversations about topics we may wish we didn't have to deal with. But those conversations are also opportunities for us to help put context around those things. And then we too prepare our children for the world around them. The parents here actually agree on so much, 100%. Our hearts are filled with love and hope for our children and their futures. And our administrators and teachers have been partners to us in successfully guiding our children through academic growth and changes in society for decades. These times are no different. And neither is your responsibility as board members. Please model careful consideration, empower our teachers, and be courageous and caring when concerned parents need reassurance that family values and beliefs will always remain with the parents to manage, while our schools remain steadfast in their mission to empower students to be lifelong learners prepared for the
Thank
future.
you. Your time is up.
Next up, we have Christopher Brooks.
Boy, take a month off and everyone goes crazy. It's enjoyable to see the passion here. I hope that everyone who's so concerned about the district is attempting to volunteer for committees, running for office, and doing other things to get involved. I'd love to be involved, except our academic committees seem to be stacked against anyone who has a dissenting opinion. So for those who are calling for diversity of thought tonight, I hope you'll consider asking the administration to revise the ways in which they allow people onto their academic committees. Having reviewed those records, it's very clear that there was only one expected type of thought for those who'd be allowed in the committee. I hear that diversity must be embraced in public schools. Okay, what does that mean? Please define diversity. Please define what it means to embrace it. And what is the school doing now that is not embracing diversity? A recent incident over at Sager Middle indicated that some middle school administration officials don't seem interested in embracing diversity when it comes to religious things. I hear a lot of talk about equity. Dr. Hoban was superintendent for 3 years, and that was one of his major focuses. In fact, the district put out an equity page, right, not that long ago last year, describing the district's equity efforts. Dr. Hoban had an equity committee. What, in 3 years, did that equity committee accomplish? It attempted to reduce the challenge courses available to middle school students. It created a controversial and highly politicized elective course at the high school. And, well, I'm not sure if it accomplished much else. I don't think it had anything to do with the dropping test scores during the time. We could certainly blame COVID and DESE's messing up with the tests for that. What would you change, folks? You want more equity work, you want more diversity work, what would you change? The only thing I've heard over the last few months here is a call for a DEI commissar. Incidentally, do you know why the Soviet Union was called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics? You know what a Soviet is? You know what a Soviet is? A Soviet is a council of commissars in the party who know exactly what the ideology of the party is and how to support it, because none of the regular people, the peasants, the kulaks, know what really the party ideology is or how to support it. So what they have to do is they have to go to these commissars, the Soviet, to get approval for stuff, or to find out what the right side of the party is. And because they're always changing their mind about what the party's beliefs are, it's like a guru, right? You know, everyone hates Donald Trump for his real estate scams, right, for that kind of stuff. That's what those scammers do, right? They're the gurus. They let you in with a little bit. They tell you what to do. You fail at it, or you don't accomplish. So, okay, we'll now pay twice as much and come and get my more advanced class. Right? That's what these commissars do in the end. DI commissars are not anyone that's actually going to improve anything for the students in the district. What they're going to do is they're going to be the thought police for the teachers. So, in conclusion, I enjoy and appreciate the great speeches that have been given, the lofty and soaring words, but I'm asking you, what are you going to do now? What do you propose concrete that the district should do differently, besides insulting and complaining about a couple of board members? Thanks.
Next up, we have Sam Young.
Just made it on the wire here. All right, good evening, board, superintendent, staff. Tonight I'd like to talk about continual improvement and specifically things we could do at this board meeting. These board meetings tend to have a certain flow. We start off with a lot of people as we recognize our students and teachers, and then they leave, and we do patron comments, and then people leave, and then we get to the agenda, and then that's basically with a skeleton crew by that point. We'll finish off the meeting. So. First improvement I'd like to suggest came from superintendent himself a couple meetings back. His comments are at the very end. I'd like to applaud what he does with his comments since he's come on board. He does a really good job in my mind of highlighting what we're doing well in the district, things I've never heard about sometimes, and also what's coming up, inviting people to get involved. But that usually comes to a skeleton crew, like I said. So if you could maybe consider moving those comments up. I would even put them before patron comments so we get the most play from them. Let's see. Our next recommendation is kind of what is the purpose of this meeting? This is a business meeting. I've heard the current president of the board say this many times. Hey, this is a business meeting. You know, no plotting, don't boo, and stuff like that. So, to this end, I think the district does a great job of putting the agenda items up. There's a lot of documents there, a lot of detail. Love the Q&A responses that have recently been posted to really help us get into and understand some of the things since we directly don't get a chance to ask questions. So there's a lot of stuff. And I applaud the board members who take the time to actually look through that. And also to those in the district who take the time to look at that. I recently had the opportunity for my high school daughter to attend one of these board meetings, and she was a little shocked at the patron comments period because nothing was really about improving academics or really even related to the agenda that followed. But you know, that is par for the course. That is typically how these go. So if we want to be serious about our kids' education and the proper management of the public resources that this school district manages, then we need to be more serious about it. I like to borrow best practice from our county council meetings where comments have to be linked to agenda items. We can always have general comments, but let's move them to the end, to the skeleton crew. Many of the people who speak passionately about their social and political agendas do not remain for the rest of this meeting. They don't really get involved in the business. They don't show a competency of knowledge about the agenda items that come afterwards. This is kind of the unseriousness.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thanks.
Okay, next up we have FHEA. FISPA. Okay. Don't sit down. It's up to you, Jeremy.
Good evening, board. So a pretty light presentation tonight, just a couple of new things. Things are going well, but focus on a couple of different stuff. So just to kind of let the board know, it's something that we don't talk about enough, but we have, you know, as the next year comes, we're going to have more staff tours up at Francis South North. I think that's something that we should celebrate and talk about. We did some of these last year. I was talking to Jeff earlier, and you know, I think later in the kind of the spring area, they're going to start bringing them around. But it's a good building to tour now. You don't get muddy and messy when you go out there. So we're trying to involve the staff and the faculty as much as we can. Along with the students, I actually think there's a group of students touring tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So industrial tech and PLTW students will be going out there. They'll be meeting with SM Wilson, kind of looking at the new areas, and then also kind of talking about what it's like to be in the construction industry and how it all works. So SM Wilson does a really good job. They have some really good programs for stuff like that. So we're trying to kind of mend them all together at Francis South North. So just, you know, I don't think we celebrate that stuff enough. One of the big things that's starting is all the site prep for the stadium and track. We kind of talked about that, but if you were to go out there and you'll see some of the pictures tonight, you'll start to see some of the grading and the sewers we put in. I'll kind of show you a little bit of that on the aerial photos, but it's exciting. You actually can start really seeing where the stadium's going to sit and what the elevations are going to be and stuff like that. Also, just kind of, I get asked this every once in a while, but you know, we work throughout the winter. They did a good job of getting the building weather tight, as we called it. So basically the roof's on, so we'll go ahead and cover everything with plastic. We don't have windows yet, but we'll plastic them all off, and they'll run kind of little torpedo heaters, like we call them, in the buildings and keep it warm, 50 degrees for those guys. And they'll work right all through the winter, taping and painting and doing all the things we need to do. So it was good to get the building enclosed, but that's something that'll be happening in the coming months. So just some highlights specifically at North. Brick veneer continues. wrapping around the building. We'll be talking about brick for still a long time to come. Structural steel is getting close to being done. Some of the big steel's completed. They're finishing some of the decking and some of the detail work around the main level in the cafeteria area. The MEFP continues throughout all the buildings. That'll be going all the way for the next 18 months. Interior framing and CMU wall installation is continuing along with painting, ceiling grids, and then we talked about the site prep for the stadium. So here's some pictures. I'm actually going to do this backwards. So this is actually what the site looked like in December of 21. This is just fascinating to me. You can see no student parking lot. You can see just concrete walls here. No real concrete floor slabs have been poured. We still have these detention basins. So, and then you go to what it looks like today, which is absolutely just fascinating. So, you know, I was talking to a friend the other day who took 9 months to build their house, and I'm like, you know, look at this in 1 year. So, I mean, it is amazing just how much work has gotten done out there when you put it in perspective. I mean, we have a fully enclosed building. We have roofs. The only area that isn't roofed yet is this little section here. But again, just going back to where we were last year, you know, quite a change over the last 12 months. Here we see some of the masonry ongoing. So this is kind of looking at the south end of what's happening. Here we see some of the football lights that have now been put up, some of the future stadium. Again, this is the gym area here. The gym area and the weight room area kind of looks out over the stadium. It's kind of a neat feature of the building. This is some of the areas that still remain unfinished. You can actually see right here how they're vaporing up some of the openings. They'll do that to kind of keep the heat inside the building. Again, this is a bathroom rough-ins, but although we talk about mechanical, electrical rough-ins, this is what we're talking about. In the background, you can see the CMU blocks getting ready to get put up and also some of the temporary lighting. Same thing here, just pictures of what, you know, it looks like inside the building. Hold on 1 second, Jane, for you play here. I'm going to show you something else. I missed the aerial shot. So this is the aerial shot. I talked a little bit about the stadium. So if you see this, this will actually be one of the future bathrooms and ticket booth area of the stadium right here. It's actually another one that goes over here, student parking lot. So you start to see kind of the outline of the track here and the big hill. So you'll kind of come on, there'll be a big gate here, Francis Howell North signs. You'll come up on the stadium, kind of look down over it in this kind of field right here. So kind of exciting to start seeing some of that all take shape and what actually is going on. So before Jane hits play on the video, we're going to change it up a little bit tonight. We talked about that. We're not doing drone tours anymore. There's not a ton to see anymore on the outside. The changes are we're kind of past that. So what SM Wilson has done is we're actually going to show you a picture of the blueprint. We're going to highlight an area, and we're going to actually have them walk you through a hallway. So it's kind of a cool, different way to do it. We'll highlight different areas of the building as we go through the next year, but it's going to look a little bit different here. So we'll let her play it. Again, here's the school. They're going to highlight these lower areas here. They're kind of showing the blueprints. This is art rooms and hallways. So here we're walking down the hallway. This is what it looks like. Here we have display cases. We have classrooms going in on each side. Ceiling grid going up. If you're familiar with Francis Howell High School, this is kind of what the lower level of Francis Howell High School looks like. It's similar here at Francis Howell North. Just see how much progress is done with paint on the walls and everything else. We're actually walking into an art room. So nice natural light in these art rooms. They have actually a kiln room back here. There'll be cabinetry and casework that actually surrounds all this area. I know it makes you dizzy to watch it. Here we have the ceiling grid. We can see some of the lighting going in and so on and so forth. But you can see just how far along some of these areas of the school actually are. Same room now looking the other way. Talk about temporary lighting strands that are strung throughout the building. But I mean, just a substantial amount of progress. I mean, you're looking at ceiling tiles and flooring and pretty much those rooms being done. So again, that focus here is on these areas of the building. Just hold that if you can, Jane. Yeah, I know it fades away, sorry. But it shows you just those areas are some of the areas that are more farther along. Obviously some of the other areas aren't, but the progress is substantial in those areas. And there's just, again, a lot of good things happening out there, and you know, we're all very excited and on schedule. Last slide I will show you is the financial slide. So we still haven't used any of the allowance money, escalation allowances. We still have about $1 million left in that fund. That'll probably eventually roll, like I said last month, roll into contingency. And we are right almost at 50% bill to date, which is pretty much exactly where they should be for where we are on the project. So I'd be happy to answer any questions the board has.
Any questions, comments? Great.
I'm the manager for Basketball North, and I get to go like all over the county and all over the St. Louis area and see their gyms.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the new basketball gym at North. It's very nice looking. I'm also looking forward to the football stadium. Don't tell my parents, I missed the bus this morning, so I had to walk to school. Thankfully, I'm close enough that I still made it easy with enough time. I had 30 minutes before my class started. But I got to walk by the school, and I saw that little enclosure you talked about with the new bathroom. I was like, I wonder what that's going to be. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the new stadium. I really like the renderings of it, how it has that bowl sitting in the end. I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. I appreciate you saying that. And that basketball stadium is going to be state of the art, believe me. It's going to be very exciting when it is done. So, yeah. Thank you. You didn't hear anything, Mom and Dad. Don't worry.
Sorry, what?
Exactly. Any other questions?
I'm going to put something on you. At the Missouri School Board Convention, Janet, was it Patrick that promised the board that they'd make a date that we could go tour the building? So we didn't go one at a time or two, but if we could do it, and it was dark, but after work for many people, hour that maybe a group of us can go and see the progress of the building.
We can absolutely get that set up. I will have someone reach out and we'll get a day on the calendar. I think that's a great idea. So.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Board, I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda for December 15th, 2022 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Lang and Mr. Bertrand. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Board, I would like a motion to approve the travel request LitCon as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Ziegemeyer and Ms. Stinglich. Discussion?
Thanks, Mary, President Lang, for removing this from consent. I just want to thank Dr. Rampos and team for being ultra transparent on this training and the communications back and forth around it and what the intent is on it. I fully support reading education. I think we need lots more of it. Just like one of the patrons that commented, I too have a son that's dyslexic, and I'd be remiss if I voted for this, unfortunately, just because the organization promoting it, their primary purpose is to promote reading recovery. So I would suggest the board take that in light when pulling information back, and also would suggest, if we haven't already, looking for independent third parties to compare information with as well. But I just wanted to say that I fully support reading. I fully support our reading teachers. They do a phenomenal good job and are trying to do the best they can. However, the reading recovery program in itself, the organization that supports it, I just can't support for what I view as damage to my son and things that we still struggle with from the habits that we're taught in that program.
Can you elaborate?
Board, any other questions, comments?
I have one. It seems to me like this was voted on once before. We already voted on this. Am I misunderstanding something? And I thought when we voted on it, why is it coming? I thought it was a 7-0 vote that we approved this, but why is it coming back to us? I'm really confused.
Sure. It did come to the October board meeting. We did vote and approve it. The hotel, when the traveler went to book her hotel, the hotel was booked. And so she had to find a different hotel. The other hotels in the area were more expensive, or they were further away, which would have added travel, daily Ubers and things like that. And so the cost of the travel increases. And when the cost of the travel increases by 10%, we have to bring the request back to the board. So it's really about the change in price that caused us to bring it back to you.
So it was approved in October?
It was.
Okay. I really thought there for a minute I was losing it. Okay, thanks.
I just want to say one thing too. I too have a daughter who is dyslexic. And she's excelled through everything, every support that she's had, whether it was reading recovery, LI, all of the things. So, Dr. Rumpus, you mentioned in an email to the board just a couple days ago that your team, your curriculum team, you've been working on our multi-tier systems of supports, and looking at them into all of the supports that we do, and you've been researching all of them, and we plan on having a work session over the next couple months in regards to all of that. Is that correct?
That is accurate. I remind everyone, we have a pre-K through 12 literacy program in the district. It's maybe the most important work that we do with our students. We have core instruction that all of our students receive in general education classrooms. We provide interventions for students when they're identified as needing a first level of support when they might be struggling for a variety of reasons in the classroom. And then we have what we would call Tier 3, or an opportunity when we have to provide students with explicit additional instruction to help them. Reading is one option. We offer it in mathematics and other areas as well. And so we're always looking through our curriculum revision process and our resource adoption process to make sure that we're using resources and programs that we believe best meet the needs of our students, looking at current research, existing research, old research, the programs that we have, are they best meeting our student needs? And so part of that is we have a cycle and a process for looking at the core general curriculum. We're also looking, as our student needs change, at what intervention materials, resources, and other small group interventions that we might provide. Our team has been working, the board approved last year, utilizing some of our ESSER funding to look at the multi-tiered systems of support and how we can better serve some of our students. Reading Recovery right now is one of the main programs we use for students at that level. We recognize there might be other programs that could also support our students. And when we look at a limited number of staffing that we have within the district that we can't always add to, we want to serve as many students as possible. And the number of our students with some instructional needs is changing. So what other programs might allow us to do that? So it's something that has been being worked on all this semester with our instructional team focused on literacy, looking at bringing some of those recommendations to you this spring. That doesn't mean we're talking about changing our literacy program drastically. I'm not encouraging people to come up and advocate. That doesn't necessarily need to happen. We're always just looking at the resources that we're using, adding to them, supplementing what we have, bringing additional resources. So that was already in place, and some of the recent conversations and questions lend itself to sharing that information, and we just thought a workshop with the board to share some of that, not only specifically around Tier 3 intervention, but also just our process in general around curriculum adoption revision. That'd be a good opportunity to share that. So we'll look at doing that in January or February at a time that works for the board. I also recall past meetings, I don't know, over the past couple of years, that people have spoken about reading recovery. I think there might have been even some topics over that were brought forward for recommendation. Not entirely sure, but in regards to that, I remember them being positive as far as reading recovery goes. But what I hear you saying, and in conjunction with the stuff that I've heard in previous meetings, is that maybe reading recovery isn't a one-size-fits-all, but it does help some students.
Yeah, her purpose of attending the conference is really to expand her knowledge base. So she is, I'd put her up against anybody in terms of reading recovery, and her role this year has expanded to K-12. And so she's asking to attend this to learn about, she's signed up for some dyslexia sessions. She wants to learn more about bilingual learners. She's at a 3-day dyslexia training this week. She signed up for letters training in January. And so this is just one stop in her professional development journey this year to expand her repertoire so that we have lots of tools for the wide range of students in K-12 that we're working to serve and support.
So what I'm hearing is not every student's exactly the same. They may need some different interventions.
It's not in place of, it's in addition to.
Perfect, thank you.
So I'm going to go back a few years, probably 2015 or 2016. I think the district was making a recommendation to do away with reading recovery when I was newer on the board. And we had a bunch of people speaking out. My own kids even, it helped them. And the board decided to keep reading recovery. So I know this is all about the travel part. So I think there's some backstory if we search the archives and see how it was then, if we're talking about the reading recovery itself. I know this is strictly a little bit off topic because this is about the travel, but just for public knowledge.
Anyone else? Grant.
Okay, so I think I remember I've seen this a few times. There's a triangle, right? And you have different tiers in the triangle. And the idea is there's people who are on track, people who are a little bit behind, people who are more behind, students who are a lot farther behind, correct? And the idea is you will take a different approach for students depending on where they're at, and with the hope of catching them up so they're on level with everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So with this conference, attending it, the hope is that perhaps new strategies can be learned that can help at different levels of that tier for students who are at different levels, right? Now, as I understand with these conferences, there's a main session and then there's a breakout where there might be 3 and then there might be like 9 and another one that they run several hours. And the attendant would go to these ones, and sometimes some people don't like what's in a given one, right? Would it be possible for the district to say which sessions were attended by the attendant so that people could know what the district might be looking at moving forward with?
Yeah, I would say that really we trust our teachers, our educators to make the decision of where they want to go, what they need to learn. It's really different for everybody. They usually work with their supervisor to make sure that what they're learning is on course. And then when they come back, there's usually some type of sharing. So this person leads a group of staff in our district, and so she would take the learning that she has and she would apply it in her daily work.
Okay. And I see a lot on the district website, they post these things and it's celebrating stuff. Perhaps that could be one of the things they post, you know, our director of this department went and attended there and here, maybe describe what was at that session that they attended, because there's a lot of different things at these, and it could focus on, so that people understand that a lot of that they can know what conferences are being attended, what might be taught at the, okay, cool. Thank you.
Just a quick comment about this. I think some of the objection to reading recovery, especially lately, is there's certainly a lot of experience that families in this district have with reading recovery. Personally, based on what I've read, and I don't claim to be an expert, it's just that the strategies taught in reading recovery are do more harm than good overall. So there may be some immediate results, but if you look a couple years down the road, there's at least one study that I know of that has shows that down the road those that intervention doesn't hold up. That said, this person going is not a teacher; it's a content leader. That person's role is to be an expert. That person's role is to be the expert, to understand all the research. I've said here at least once, if it's academic in nature, whether I personally agree with it or not, then that's fine by me if it's a research-based thing. So, yes, reading recovery, at least from what I've read, isn't the best. But for all we know, they're going to show some new research here in January 2023. So that's my thoughts on it. It's academic in nature. There is some other training, letters training specifically, that I'm pleased this person is attending, that we approved a couple of months ago. That's all I have on it.
Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Motion carries. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the November monthly financial report as presented.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Lang and Mr. Lee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Board, I would like a motion to approve the purchases over $7,500 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bertrand has Stiglitch. Any discussion, board? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the purchases over $7,500 for Newzella as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lang and Ms. Stiglich. Discussion?
Thank you for pulling this one out for a separate vote here. This is for the public who may not have seen it, this is a request to purchase a trial subscription to a service that purports to provide material, news, articles, things of that nature to middle school and high school students, but the material is differentiated by reading level for middle school and high school students. I think this goes back to the bigger issue of reading in elementary school, but I'll leave that aside for now. The cost of this is in the $30,000 range right now for the trial that we're approving for the next several months. If it's successful, presumably we would be asked to provide it or to implement it next year. And the full cost of this for a year, if we were to pay the full year rate, is on the order of $164,000. And this is online access to news articles for middle school and high school students. And the kicker here is that it's differentiated by reading level. I have no doubt that some students may need this, but I question whether we need it we have to pay for every student in every middle school and every high school, because certainly most students probably don't need this. The memo that we're approving specifically talks about struggling learners or struggling students, something of that nature. But we're not approving a subscription for those students. We're approving it for everyone, and we're paying for everyone. And that's I can't in good faith support that with our tax dollars buying something I don't think we would need for everyone. If we were being asked to approve it for a segment of students or a smaller percentage, that would be another conversation. But this seems like a little bit overkill, and yet another online resource that our technology department has to implement and support and maintain. And so I won't be supporting this one.
Is this a service for students or our teachers?
So it's a tool for teachers where they can go online and they can pull content-related informational text at a variety of Lexile levels. So it'll allow us to level up, level down, whatever a student needs on a specific topic. The trial that we want to run is we would be purchasing the ELA, the science, and the social studies packages, content, articles, and then we want to monitor it while we're piloting it or doing the trial in the spring semester, just to see which grade levels use it, what content areas use it. To Mr. Cook's point, we are looking at a subscription for every student in the building. That's how the company prices it out. And that'll allow every teacher in each building access to it. So even though we're purchasing the ELA science and social studies content, if a health teacher wants to pull an article from the science content to use in their health class, they would have access to do that. And so the teachers are able to pull the articles, and then they're able to push it out to the students through their Canvas courses. So it's an amazing, phenomenal resource for our teachers that provides them quick access to vetted text that we're not providing them right now. And so it's a huge time saver, a huge resource. I was with an ELA teacher yesterday, and she was truly giddy about the idea that she would be able to get her hands on this resource and have that high quality literature to be able to use in our classroom. So it fills a gap that we currently have in terms of what we're able to provide for informational text. And again, in the questions, I think one of the questions was how much would it cost, and we gave you by every level, by every content, what it would cost. And we don't know that we would necessarily come back and ask for all of that. We want to try it out in the spring semester and then look at the analytics and figure out, does middle school use it? Does high school use it? Do some contents use it more than others? And we just don't know. We need to try it and see how helpful people think it is, get some feedback from our teachers or students. So that's what we're asking for.
And just to be clear, Mr. Cook, I think you mentioned it, but the teacher can go in and, the topic is automotive something or another. They can search, initially to find articles that are at grade level that would work for 80% of the students, 90% of the students in the classroom, but then also find articles on the exact same topic that might be at Alexa level for that middle range student and that small group and extra support. So all students would actually benefit and use the resources that are found through the site, not just a small group of students.
So I have a question. So what I'm hearing you say then is that you will be collecting data to see who's using it, who's not, where it's being used, and then in the event we decide to go, you will bring that data back to the board so that if we do have to spend the money, then we'll know exactly what it is that we're purchasing and for who?
Sure. We would bring it back through a purchase memo next whenever, and we can include some of that when we bring it.
So this is just a trial for the next semester. Got it. Thank you.
So just two quick questions. So this is looking kind of like commentary before. This is looking as a supplemental to things like speech to text or text to speech, I guess, text to speech for those kids that need those extra supports. Number one.
I'll be honest, I don't know about the are you asking about accessibility?
That's just like another supplement for accessibility, trying to bring that in and give them different options.
Yeah. It's a resource for our teachers.
Yep. Number two is, did we pick this particular resources for any reason? Have we looked at other organizations that provide the same kind of thing? Or was this just purely trial to see if this kind of resource would work for us?
It's a resource that many of our teachers have used a free version of with a lot of success, and knowing the power that it is provided with those, the additional access that our teachers will have, we think will increase access to informational text and actually help improve reading across all contents. And so we're just really hoping that this is an additional tool to support reading, specifically informational text, with our students.
It's not a new resource. I can tell you when I was in the classroom, I used the free version of it, and I loved it so much that I used my personal funds to buy a subscription for multiple years to use it as a resource with my students. So I can only imagine how much it's evolved and improved. It's been a hot minute since I've been in the classroom, so I'm sure it's phenomenal now. And
Fully support. I guess my only comment is if it's something we want to move forward with, maybe let's go through the process of looking at there's other providers for similar items to make sure we're getting the best cost out of it.
Sure.
Thanks.
Anything else, board? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carries. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the purchases over $7,500 for worldwide technology as presented.
So moved.
With Mr. Zigmeyer and then Mr. Cook. I will be abstaining from this purchase. My husband works in this company. Totally different department. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the course description guide as presented. Mr. Bertrand, Mr. Lane. Dr. Buckman, is there anything you need to add to this, or is it pretty straightforward here?
it's pretty straightforward. They're all uploaded, and then there's a document included that includes the revisions that were made this year. So no significant changes.
Board, any questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Board, I would like a motion to approve the summer school proposal as presented.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Lang and Mr. Bertrand. Dr. Buckman?
Yeah, I'd like to invite Dr. Lemers and Dr. Garland to come on up. Dr. Lemers is our Director of Secondary Education, and Dr. Garland is our Director of Elementary Education. And so last month you were able to review the board report that was our summary of summer school from summer of 22. And these folks are with us tonight. They've put a lot of work together to the proposal for our programming for summer of 23. So, our next steps after this would be to start our hiring process and begin to prepare registration in the next couple months. So we'll let them talk a little bit about it.
Hello, Board of Education. Hey, Grant. Good to see you again. It's our pleasure tonight to present to you our proposal for the summer school program for summer 2023. What you see in front of you here are the programs that we're hoping to run, that we're proposing running at each of the 3 levels. Would you like to talk a little bit about elementary?
Yeah, at elementary, the programming is going to be relatively the same as it has been in the past. We're going to offer the elementary summer success program. We're going to offer the kindergarten summer success program, which is a transition program for our incoming kindergartners. And we're also going to offer our 4 enrichment camps, STEM, robotics, studio art, and sports and fitness.
And then at the middle school level and at the high school level, we're running largely the same camps, the same programs that we've run over the last several years, with one exception. At the middle school level, we have a staff member who has a passion to offer a theater camp. And one of the key determining factors in whether or not we can run a camp in the summer is, can we find staff to run it? So in a lot of ways, in the past, it goes the other way. We have an idea, ooh, maybe we can find somebody to run it. In this case, there was a staff member saying, can I please run something like this? And really at that point, heck yes, we absolutely want to do that. We want to provide that opportunity to our kids. So we're going to be doing middle school summer success, the STEM summer program, app camp, all those other camps with the addition of that theater camp at the middle school level.
I'm going to take just a minute just to highlight some of the changes at elementary. So this year, we are proposing to host summer school at Becky, David, and Warren, and they will host our 4-week summer success program. This year, we're proposing half-day programming, offering both AM and PM sessions that will be solely focused on reading intervention. We're doing this in an effort to be able to serve more students and to attract more FHSD staff to teach our summer programming. With this structure, we'll be able to serve twice as many students as we've been able to serve in the past, while still providing a very rich, focused, and targeted literacy intervention time for our students. This proposal also will afford our staff, which we're hoping will attract more, to opt to teach maybe just an AM session, maybe just a PM session, or if they desire, they can teach both. We are also proposing to run our 4 enrichment camps, all 4 camps, all 4 weeks. We found that logistically it works better to host that at a separate site. So we're proposing to host our camps at Cosley Elementary, which will also be one of our consolidated vacation station sites. So all of our VS students will also have the opportunity to participate in camps should their parents wish to sign them up for our camps. And as you might remember in the past, our camps are also half-day programs. I'll turn it over to Luke to talk a little bit about middle and high.
At the middle school level, we run a couple of different programs, the first being the Summer Success Program, which is designed to assist students who data is showing that they're falling a little bit behind with reading and math, and so we invite them into the program. And we try to make the day a little bit more enjoyable than just reading and math. So we try to keep up their physical fitness by giving them access to a PE course and offering some elective courses in there. One thing you're going to notice, we are we're proposing consolidating sites for middle school and high school this year, hosting it all at Francis Howell High School. There's a couple of reasons for that. We have Prop S work happening at the other 2 high school sites, so it has to be at Francis Howell High School again this year. But then in addition, by consolidating sites, it places less strain on the overall organization with regard to transportation, with regard to custodial facilities, maintenance. It allows for another building to get through the summer scrub, the annual summer scrub that we do every summer to get our campuses ready for the following school year. So we're going to be hosting the middle school summer success and enrichment camps at Francis Howell High School and the high school program is also going to be at Francis Howell High School this year. And so on the enrichment camps, we've already talked about, we're still going to run the STEM camp, the app camp. Those two are always very popular. The biomedical science camp is always very popular, and we're very hopeful about the theater camp again this year. And they will all happen at in the same time frame as the middle school summer success class again this year, also to place less strain on the overall organization to try to have everything done before July happens. Oh, I have the Still me. And then at the high school level, we will again run our credit recovery program for students who need to recover credits from classes that they've failed in the past. We're offering in-person only again this year. Students will have the opportunity to earn up to a full credit, so they can take 2 classes. One 10-day session represents 1 semester, and then the next 10-day session represents a second semester class. And then in credit advancement, again at Francis Howell High School, it's mostly in person, but for several years we've run health and personal finance online, where kids have to come in here and there, but it's mostly done online. Students can also take a full credit, so a class in the morning and a class in the afternoon over the course of 20 days to be able to work ahead, normally for the purpose of opening up spots in their schedule to take other classes during the school year. I remember this time. And then on the budget side, we have a long history of running our summer school program in the black in our school district. For several years, it contributes to the bottom line for our overall budget. So we are projecting a revenue over expenses for this year of $7,721. We always run a very conservative budget for our summer program. We are anticipating a slight increase in the transportation cost, given fuel increases. We don't know what they're going to look like over the summer, so we're budgeting for an increase in fuel and transportation costs. Even though we are consolidating sites at the high school, we should see an increase in cost at elementary with running 2 different sessions. So putting all of that together, we are projecting coming out in the black for summer school again this year. And historically, we will project somewhere in the $5,000 to $10,000 of surplus, and we end up being in the $60,000 to $70,000, sometimes over $100,000 in surplus. And we have every expectation that that should happen again this year. So, with that, we'd like to open it up to any questions.
I have one. You mentioned transportation a couple times. Do we transfer it for all the camps or just for the reading recovery? At the camps, is that a parent transport, or how does that work?
At the elementary level, we only provide transportation for our elementary summer success program and our kindergarten summer success program. Camps, parents provide transportation.
Yeah, and it's a similar story at secondary level. So the students who are going for summer success at the middle school level and for credit recovery, we offer transportation. If they can make it work in their schedule for the credit recovery, we'll make it work. But you might have a student that's only doing a morning session, so if they ride the bus in the morning, they got nothing to do in the afternoon. But if they're taking 2 classes, a morning and an afternoon class, they can take advantage of the transportation.
So you mentioned the increased cost. I'm thinking the cost transferring somebody from the north area down to Francis Howell High School, that had to have been taken into consideration also.
That's absolutely part of it, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Is it the case that for transportation again, middle school and high school students would be bused on the same bus?
Yeah, that is something that we are going to be implementing this year. Yes.
I think we mentioned in one of the comments during academic advisory. I know we wrote them all down. I presume you guys read them, but that was just a concern. So maybe consider a bus monitor. I don't know if we would need that, but there's some concern of a 5th grader riding with a 11th grader.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
that is something that we consider. As we plan for the summer session, we have regular meetings scheduled with our transportation folks. We keep an eye on budget. That is something that we can consider for sure. We also know that there are school districts around the state and in our region who have a long history of students at the middle school level. Even in some places in our state, it's high school and elementary kiddos running on the same bus. But this would be our first experience doing that. And yeah, that monitors is something that we can consider.
When you talked about middle school, is it going to be half-day programming or full-day programming?
Middle school is full day.
Full day
for everybody that's in the summer success program. Yes, it's full day. So
the camps are
the camps. It depends on the camp. So some of the camps run for a short amount of time, 5 days or so. But yeah, they are typically full day for a short window, like a 10-day window or a 5-day window, depending on the camp.
Thank you.
So we know the camps usually fill up pretty quick, and there's a waiting list. So when do and how do people sign up?
The registration for camps, I'm going to give you the exact date, maybe in a follow-up email, but we usually start the camps, I believe it's around April. We'll start enrolling for our elementary summer success program probably mid-February to the very beginning of March. And it basically, with elementary, you're right, it's a high demand. That's one of the reasons why we transitioned to a half-day program, so that we could offer that opportunity for more families and more students. So we take the registrations as they come, and then we fill the registrations on a lottery system. And then we develop wait lists from that also. And last year we were able to get several families who, changed minds, plans changed, whatnot. We were able to fill some of those spots with families on our wait list.
Any other questions or comments, board?
Just one, hopefully real quick question. So you showed how it's cost neutral, or even maybe a little bit cost plus. What's the constraint of expanding it even further if we have a wait list?
Sure. We are one of our biggest limiting factors with all of our summer offerings is our ability to staff the programs. So over the past several years, it's become harder and harder to staff the programs. We open it up with a preference toward our internal staff, but every year we have programs that we have to hire folks from outside of the district to staff some of the programs. So really, we'll offer as many programs as we can, or as many sections of it as we can staff. And so that's something that is the limiting factor for what we're able to offer in a summer session.
Just a quick data piece. About 3 years ago, just for our certified positions, so for our teaching positions, I believe we had around 170 applicants. And I believe last year we had 120. So every year we're seeing a decrease in the amount of our certified staff within district that are applying to teach summer school. So it's been a challenge for the last 3 years to just staff the programming that we have. Luke and I both have a desire to grow it, especially on that enrichment side of it, because there's a lot of opportunity, and we do collect money from the state. We are able to claim that. And so there is a desire to expand. We just need to get to a better place for staffing.
Grant.
Just to highlight, I think a lot of high school students don't realize how many classes are available for credit advancement over the summer. What ones do you think there are? I know a lot of people do health and personal finance. I've done both of those online. But what other classes are offered in person over the summer for high schoolers for credit advancement?
So for credit advancement, you'll have health, you'll have personal finance. There are a couple of PE offerings, intro to computer applications. Can't remember the specific title of it. And then there's also an ACT prep course that is part of that as well. Normally the ACT prep, we run a couple of different versions where they take just a few days of it in order to prepare for the June test. But this year the way the national test dates have worked out, they're able to take the entire thing for credit advancement. So.
And just another idea, with staffing shortages, these are only about 25-day sessions from what I can see. Has the district ever thought about reaching out to former teachers who substitute for the district and seeing if they'd be willing to do a summer school course? Or
it would be open to them. It would be open to them.
Cool. Because I know there's a lot of subs, especially at North. I think we get a lot of great subs, and they really do enjoy teaching. I think a lot of them would be open to something like that. So, thank you.
Are we getting his application? I know we talked about that.
Thank you.
I do have a couple questions in regards to, not a couple, but in regards to staffing. Do we know why it's hard to staff? I know I have a couple friends who loved it, and then when our school year got a little bit longer, they missed that little break, so they didn't apply to be teachers. Is there common themes maybe about why we can't staff it?
The feedback that we get, the job of an educator is not getting easier. It is only getting harder. And over the last few years, it's been especially difficult with the, what happened with COVID. We have so many sub shortages that throughout the school year, many teachers are giving up their playing periods to be able to sub so that we can still have school. And by the end of the year, they're getting to a point where they just need that break. They need that break mentally in order to recharge for the following year. That's the biggest feedback that we have gotten.
I will tell you, I met recently with some of my counterparts in other districts, strictly just to talk about summer school, and that was a part of the conversation. And other districts are experiencing the same thing. I was pretty proud to sit in that meeting because we offer a way more robust program than any of our surrounding districts. And we are making it work each year. So I'm proud of the work that we're putting into it, and I'm proud of the leadership and the principals that we hire to help us do it. I think because they make it an enjoyable environment, we are still able to recruit people. We've also done market comparison on what we pay for summer school, and we are very comparable, if not a little bit higher than some of our benchmark districts as well. So we just really think it's attributed to what Luke shared.
Anything else? Thank you. Okay, board. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Board, I would like a motion to approve the fiscal year 22 financial statements, independent auditor's report, and supplementary information as presented.
Second.
Mr. McCann and Ms. Tingledge. Dr. Hawk?
We're excited to have our auditor here to share everything with us. We have Christina Jacquin available to review our audit result. Thank you. We have Christina here to review our audit results and give us an update on how that process went. This is a particularly interesting year for us with our switch from an accrual basis to a cash basis of accounting. It provided its own unique challenges through the auditing process, resulting in that need for some additional time with our auditors. We're very appreciative that they put in some extra overtime over the holidays, and that we are able to meet the deadline by December 31st that the state sets for having our audit completed and uploaded for DESE. Just for the public, something interesting to know with the new MSIP 6 requirements, if our audit is ever late, it costs us 6 points on our future accreditation efforts. So they have tied turning our paperwork in on time to some of those accreditation, and so that makes it a really big deal. 6 points could make a big deal in that process. So take it away.
All right, good evening, board. Thank you for the opportunity to briefly present the results of the 2022 annual audit and the related reports to you this evening. As mentioned, my name is Christina Jacquin, and I am the Senior Assurance Services Manager with Showalter and Jabouri. This is our third year performing the audit for the Francis Howell School District. I believe you were previously provided with PDF copies of the reports that we issued. These reports include the financial statements, which include required state and federal program reporting, the report to those charged with governance, and the report on internal control. After some brief comments, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that the board may have. The first report relates to the financial statements prepared by management on the modified cash basis of accounting, in which we provided an unmodified opinion on page 1. This means that, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with the modified cash basis of accounting. This is otherwise known as a clean opinion. In the current year, there are 2 emphasis of matter paragraphs included in the audit opinion. The first draws the reader's attention to the basis of accounting of modified cash, which is a basis of accounting other than those generally accepted in the United States. As this was a change made in the current year, there is further discussion of the effect of this change on page 13. The second emphasis of matter paragraph indicates the new accounting guidance, GASB statement number 87 regarding leases, was implemented in the current year as applicable to the modified cash basis of accounting. With regards to the required federal and state reporting, in the current year, 2 federal programs were required to be tested as major. They were the Education Stabilization Fund, otherwise known as ESSER, and the Child Nutrition Program. During the course of our testing, we noted no material instances of noncompliance that we are required to report, or any matters involving internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to either of these programs. The second report we issued is a report to those charged with governance and is a required communication from auditors at the conclusion of an audit. This report includes various items, with the more significant of them being a reference to the implementation of new guidance regarding leases, whether or not there were any material corrected misstatements or any uncorrected misstatements identified during the course of the audit. It also mentions the emphasis of matter paragraph in the opinion regarding the basis of accounting, as discussed earlier, and it discusses the procedures applied to the related supplementary and other information contained in audited financial statements. We have also issued a report on internal control in the current year. It's important to note that we did not identify any items that we classify as material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. The items we have included in this report are observations and related recommendations for consideration. The report also includes a section that provides a status of prior year recommendations. Again, these are classified as other comments and do not appear to be indicative of significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. We would like to thank Dr. Hawk and her staff and the district for all their assistance provided to us during the audit, and at this time I am happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Board, any questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Next up, there's a couple information-only policies, first readings. We will move on to Ms. Simpkins for our staffing plan.
Thanks, Mary. Jane, do you have a clicker that you can advance size, or do I need to get that? Can you advance for me?
We can get it to you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Or I can advance. You just, I'll walk it to you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, friend. Appreciate it. Okay, well, board, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present to you the 2023-2024 staffing plan. This is a process that we follow each and every school year. Executive Cabinet begins to have conversations about the plan in early October. Mr. Delaney, our Director of Human Resources, and I then begin to meet with each district administrator as we develop an initial staffing plan that is then reviewed and modified by our district leadership team. And then the model is shared and discussed with the other groups that you see listed on the screen. Our intention this year was to present to you a status quo staffing plan. We are very mindful of the resources that are available to us in the district, and with the labor shortages that we're experiencing, inflation, we feel it is very important that we have resources available as we enter into negotiations to consider salaries. And so it was very important to us that that was kind of our goal, and so what that meant for us as a staffing plan is to look for ways to not have an impact in our salary budget by adding positions, which has been difficult. Each year, when we bring the plan to you, we request contingency staffing. These additional positions are placed on hold and only used as necessary as we go through the planning for the new school year. For example, if enrollment in a certain building is higher than expected, we'll utilize this contingency staffing to quickly hire an additional position without waiting for the next board meeting for approval. In some cases, small amounts of contingency are also used when we need just an additional section of science, or we need to ask a teacher to work through their plan to cover an additional section to keep class sizes lower. So that helps us to quickly address any needs that come up through the plan. Any staffing, any contingency staffing that is used in the current school year, that is a position that needs to carry over to the next school year, is shown as an add in the plan. So the contingency staffing isn't just absorbed, it is pulled out, and the position is asked to be approved to continue. And so any staffing that we utilize throughout the year is pulled out that way. And we examine the use of contingency throughout the school year very, very closely. We ask for a limited number of contingency staffing FTEs, and so really try to use that only in those very high need areas where it's a necessity. So I'll talk with you just a little bit about the certified big ideas for our staffing plan. Again, every effort has been made to keep staffing level across the district. It's important for you to know that as Mark and I attended meetings in every building, we created a very long list of needs that our administrators would like for us to address. Meeting the needs of our students takes staffing. We are a people-intense business, and so when we limit that resource for our buildings, it becomes more difficult for them to do their work. In every building, we heard requests for additional certified staffing or additional support staff positions, whether it was to reduce class sizes, offer additional interventions, maybe just increase support because of behaviors and supervision because of behaviors. And I think in every area and across our district, at every level, our people are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and having some relief in that way would have been helpful. But again, it was important for us to present a plan that did not add costs to the district's salary budget. So when we looked at how to address the most significant needs we heard, we really just reallocated staffing. Classroom positions were moved from one building to another based on changes in enrollment. And where possible, we tried to remove classroom teaching positions to create special education teacher positions to support the increasing needs that we're seeing across our buildings. And so you'll see that in the plan, we allocate, I should say, 5 classroom teaching positions at the elementary level, and some paraprofessional positions in order to create the special education staffing positions that we need. So as we get to the certified side, the support staff side, you'll see there are some paraprofessional positions that are being reduced to account for the 3.5 FTE that you see on the screen that we are suggesting to be added, so that we stay neutral in the staffing plan overall. The reason for the reduction in paraprofessional positions is 1, we need those teaching positions. 2, it has become very difficult to fill our paraprofessional roles, and so we feel that if we look at how we do our work a little differently, we might be able to open up those positions to a different candidate pool. It has been successful over the last couple of years as we've struggled to find paraprofessionals. We've collapsed 3 vacancies as we get into October, November, and December, and utilize those 3 paraprofessional vacancies to post for a special education teacher. And sometimes that has helped us find a candidate and as well as relieve some of the stress in the building. It's not ideal. We needed 3 different people to be in 3 different places. That's why those paraprofessional positions were there. But in the labor shortage that we have and the struggles that we find, this allowed us to provide some relief to the building. So you'll see that happening throughout this plan as well. Our reading staffing across the district remains status quo. Our academic team will review the data in late January, and if we need to reallocate reading staffing across our middle, high schools, elementary schools, we'll move that staffing once we have that data available to us. These are the slide shows the average class sizes at the elementary level that will result from this plan. The MSIP6 desirable and maximum numbers are there for you, just so you can kind of compare to what we're proposing. We always aim for that midpoint or maybe just slightly above as we're watching the sections. That has increased over the course of years as we've done staffing plan. In years past, we've tried to stay in the middle of the desirable and midpoint, and we have been inching up our class sizes to midpoint or a little bit above. The averages that you see here on the screen look fantastic, but they are averages. We will have a range of class sizes across the district, and so If our projected enrollment comes through as is and the plan stays as it is, you will see a couple of kindergarten classes at 22, second grade at 23, third grade at 25, and even a fifth grade section or two at 28. So watching those sections will be important, and that's where that contingency staffing will come in handy. If we see that enrollment increases, we'll be able to react quickly for those positions. At the middle and high school level, it is very difficult to determine or predict class sizes at this point. So we create a staffing plan based on classroom teacher to student ratio. And this plan sets an average student to classroom teacher ratio at middle school at 21.72 and high school at 23.58. The calculation does not take into consideration that teachers take a plan time, nor does it take into consideration that students might be placed in special services, virtual learning, early college classes, things of that nature. But again, actual class sizes can't be projected at this point. We wait for student enrollment through our coursework and then create a master schedule based on student need and what the FTE is provided to each school. And that's what will kind of determine what those class sizes look like. And again, contingency will come in play if a building needs a specific section added. We can do that to alleviate some of that stress. So the staffing is provided to each building based on this ratio calculation, and our building principals do a great job. They create a master schedule and then a staffing plan that fits the needs of students and stays within our DESE class size guidelines. And so, again, we'll level that out and work with our principals as we need to. At the early childhood level, there is not a lot of change. This is a small change, but there is some significant reasons behind it. There is a need for additional special education student availability in our off to kindergarten program in one of our buildings. In May of 2022, we increased the number of special education students in each class. So while our goal is to have 6 students per class, we had classes with 8 or 9 special education students in the off to kindergarten program. And with the number of students that are currently being tested for early childhood special education, we're worried this is a trend that is going to continue and the number will rise per class. So our proposal is to dissolve one tuition-only class. The students that are enrolled in that class would be dispersed into small group classrooms to serve as peer models. Currently, there are little to no peer models in our early childhood special education classes in this building, in the off to kindergarten class. The increase in the early childhood special education FTE will not impact our early childhood budget, yet the elimination of the tuition-based position will reduce the overhead, the salary, and the benefits that are currently impacting our early childhood budget. So dissolving this tuition-only class will afford the program the opportunity to look at either maintaining our tuition or possibly even reducing tuition for our families, as well as supporting the needs of the students that need that class. We'll move over to support staff. It's important to kind of share with you, if you look at the old plan and then look at where we are now, we've made some significant changes in our support staff staffing throughout this school year. And so this is just to remind you of some of the things that have happened. You may remember that we added 15.2 FTEs for recess paras. We added back those 40 positions after negotiations to support our teachers at the elementary level. We also brought to you a request to add 5 additional permanent substitutes. That's a 4.27 FTE in our plan. We've made some modifications throughout the year. When additional nursing hours were needed, we eliminated a paraprofessional position. You'll also remember that we reduced 18 custodial positions when we were looking for ways to increase the salary of our custodians to meet the labor and the demands of that market. And then over the course of the year, 1.83 contingencies, FTEs were utilized just in various different places throughout the school year. And so taking all of that into consideration, any positions that needed to carry over into the plan for next year were incorporated as well. And so what we propose for this year on support staff, or going into the 23-24 school year, we will look to add an HVAC technician to support some of the work that is happening through our district and hopefully reduce some of our dependency on outside organizations to do that work.
We're also looking at adding 1 bus monitor position for a need there. The 8.26 positions, the paraprofessionals, we talked about that supporting those certified positions that you saw earlier in the plan. And then we are looking to reduce bus driver positions as those routes have been reduced and those positions are vacant, so no one is losing a position in this plan. The 0.5 position on grounds has been something that we have had vacant for several years. It's just not a position we've been able to recruit and fill. And then with cafeteria aides, this is really a reduction in the hours that they're working each day. When we eliminated the recess para position, we increased the daily hours of our cafeteria aides to provide some support to our elementary buildings. And now that the recess para position is back, we're scaling back those cafeteria aide hours to what they originally were. We felt like that was a late change this year and didn't want to ask our buildings to change their master schedules, so they've had some time to prepare for that. And then we're reallocating some transportation staffing just to meet their current needs, moving some FTE from one position to another to support the needs there. Again, in the plan, there is no person that is losing their job. These positions are vacant if they're being reduced. We have over 30 to 40 paraprofessional positions open at a time, and so reducing by 14 is not going to impact an individual. They are vacant positions that will happen. On the tuition-based side, there is a small increase proposed for parent-educator staffing. This is to support our families who are enrolling in the program with their very young learners before they come to the preschool setting. The program is refunded by the number of visits that they provide, and so we feel that the FTE that we're asking for here will be reimbursed by the visits that are completed through the state of Missouri. And so overall, you'll see in the plan it's a 3.5 FTE addition on the certified side that is being supported by the reduction in salary on the support staff side, 8.26 FTEs there. And then the small reduction on the early childhood side and the small addition for the parent educator side. Really, we do not anticipate that any changes in this plan will have any major impact on our overall salary budget. And so as directed and as our goal is to just present the status quo staffing plan to you again to protect those resources for later. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Board, any comments or questions? Just to reiterate the reductions mentioned, there are no bodies in those positions, correct?
Correct. They will all be vacant positions.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Ziegemeyer, I'm sorry.
I know you spoke briefly to it, but can you just give a little bit of the background how you get to these numbers, who you communicate with, how you kind of formulate that information?
Sure. So each year, Mark and I spend time, we visit each building, we visit each director, each manager that is responsible for leading out work in Francis Howell. Talk with them about the needs that they're seeing in their building, the needs of their students, what they're hearing from staff. I will tell you, sometimes it is one of the hardest parts of our job because we hear the needs that are in each and every building. We create that list every year, and we haven't been able to address many of them for the last couple of years because we've continued to present a status quo staffing plan to protect those resources. So we listen, and then as we go through, we ask for those projected enrollment numbers from our capacity team, and then just really start playing to, in the last couple of years, rob Peter to pay Paul. And move the staffing and reallocate staffing to try to meet the most pressing need that we hear. There are a number of needs that we hear year after year that we haven't been able to address. We start with the FTE that we have each year approved by the board and then just reallocate that. So that's really what we do.
Thank you.
Anything else, board? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mary. I'll bring this back to you in January for approval. If you have any questions in the meantime, please just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Lang. This might be the best crowd we've had president comment Superintendent comments. Well, thank you, Mr. Young. So board, I don't personally get to know all of our student board reps. I have gotten to know Mr. Killen a bit over the last couple of years, and so I really want to recognize his level of preparedness for tonight and his passion for this. You can really tell that he has an interest in this work and civic duty, and that's been enjoyable tonight. I'll also point out he is very active on Twitter, and something that I respect about him is that while he is clearly an active and accomplished Francis Howell North student, he retweets and celebrates stuff from every single one of our high schools and our other buildings, and that is great. Also, I will add, as we approach the possibility of inclement weather, that he actively posts about snow days. Any such announcements come from me or communications, not from Grant Killen when it comes to snow days. I just want to make that clear. We held our second roundtable on November 26th. The topic was career and college readiness. We had a crowd that was a little bit bigger than our first event. Katie Vargas, our college and career specialist, came and shared data from regional and local, the job market and the trends and what we're seeing. She also shared district data about the current programs and opportunities that we offer. We then engaged in conversations with the patrons who were there, really thinking about the hopes for our students as they leave Francis Howell, what we want them to be able to do, what information our students and families need in order to make decisions about post-secondary opportunities, and then how do we reduce stigma around non-college opportunities for students. So there was a lot of great information that was gathered that night. It'll be used as we develop action plans for next year, and will also be a part of the process that Francis Howell will go through in creating the profile of a graduate, which is part of our current strategic plan work. We received a lot of positive feedback from attendees at the event, and we will be sending out information pretty soon about a January event coming up. Last weekend, our Alternative Learning Department held its annual Community Resource Fair at Francis Howell High School. This is a special event that connects our families with a variety of resources that are available throughout the community. It was the biggest event that we've had in the past 11 years, with more than 20 vendors there and several hundred attendees. So thank you to everyone who made that a success and participated. I want to share that our communications department has been working incredibly hard on an updated and redesigned district website. On December 29th, if everything goes well, that will go live. So when you visit either the district site or the school site, you will see changes. By switching the provider and updating it, we're able to create a more mobile-friendly website that you'll be able to access information more easily on your phones, your iPads, your tablets, or any other type of device. Ms. Simpkins was speaking to some of the challenges we have around staffing in general. The HR department and Robin Engel, who is one of our teachers, is also our Grow Your Own program coordinator. They will be hosting our first event of the Howell Educator Program over break. It's called the Howell-a-Day Luncheon. They're going to host graduates from Francis Howell School District who are pursuing undergraduate degrees in teaching and really share with them opportunities and resources we have to support them in that pursuit of education, and hopefully encourage them to come back and work for Howell. We really think that Grow Your Own model is important as we get closer to this teacher shortage that we know we are experiencing nationwide. Almost 2 weeks ago, our Francis Howell Vikings made history, winning the state football championship. For the very first time in program history, there were over 10,000 students, parents, community members who were at Thoreau Field at Mizzou for the game. The team ended up finishing undefeated 14-0 this year with an average of a 34-point margin over the course of the season. It was also the 50th win for Coach Naki, which is a special moment, to have it be that game. And we will be recognizing the entire team and all the coaches at an upcoming board meeting. Our Howell High and Howell Central cheerleaders also competed at the MCCA State Cheer Championship this past weekend, both placed in the top 10 squads in Missouri. Howell Central took 7th and Howell High took 4th. We want to congratulate both of their teams and those coaches as well. And then also Howell North kicked off a new program this week where our high school students are eating lunch with some of our elementary students, building relationships with them, talking about the importance of attendance at school, positive behavior, getting involved, and really hard work in school. They're calling this the SHIELD program, and we look forward to building on that and the excitement with those younger students about someday becoming future Howell North Knights. So last, I want to remind everyone that our winter break for students begins next Thursday, who will then return on Tuesday, January 3rd. We've had a lot of transition this fall, and sometimes that can be challenging, and that's been true for us. The reality is we as a district will always have a lot of challenges and opportunities, but it also feels like it's a very successful fall. There's a renewed commitment to working together as a school community to support Francis Howell and our students. Sometimes we hear the negative, but there's also a lot of great things out there, a lot of success and accomplishments we've had this fall that I think we should all be proud of and celebrate. I really want to thank our staff, our support staff, our teachers, our building leaders, the district leadership team I have the honor of working with, our Board of Education for their support for me and for the work that we do, as well as our patrons. This really is teamwork. So I wish everyone a Merry Christmas if that is what you celebrate, and to everyone else, I hope that you have a safe and happy holidays over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see you all in the new year. So thank you.
All right, board, any comments or requests? Grant?
One last time. Obviously, I'm very lucky to be able to do this. Thank you to Mr. Fletcher for appointing me for this. Thank you to my parents for taking me to these meetings. I've been going to these meetings since, going on, I went to one, but consistently for about a year and a half now. So it's very interesting going to all these. I'm usually the only student here. It's nice to see students here, though. And you guys talking about me, you got to worry about Mr. Collins in the front row. He's in kindergarten. He's already coming up with stuff. So. But thank you very much for letting me do this. I look forward to continuing to attend these meetings. About the weather you talked about. Originally, it was looking like we could get a snow day in next week. Still hopeful. Lately, weather projections haven't been too friendly to that position, though. So, but thank you very much.
Merry Christmas.
We appreciate you coming and interjecting and all of the things, so thank you. Board, any comments, questions?
Just a quick comment. I know we had a lot of patron speakers tonight, and there was 4 that didn't get time to come up, so I invite you to stick around afterwards if you have anything you'd like to discuss. Provided you're healthy, I can't have any more sicknesses in our household this winter. But, well, again, just invite you to stick around and talk if you like, or email your comments. So, thank you.
I just want to make a couple comments. I wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, and hopefully there's a good Christmas break for all teachers. And just kind of speak to a little bit of just the current controversy, hot topics, whatever that there currently is going on. And I just wanted to kind of put out there maybe some positive. There's a lot of good things that are happening in this district. A lot of good things. And that's not often celebrated. Even when it is celebrated, some detractors like to spout the negative. And I just want to remind people, when it's obviously everybody's obligation to trust and verify our different government entities, but let's do that. Let's trust and verify, not assume the negative. And so I just wanted to kind of point that out, and also hopefully urge other members on this board to take a position of looking outside of your specific individual selves and see what's greater for the whole rather than the individual. There's a lot of different decisions that we make, a few that I've had to make that may not be ultimately beneficial in the long run for my own family, but that's not why I'm sitting here. I don't reflect on my kids to make decisions for all the other kids in the district. So I just wanted to put that out there. Also, in the realm of just supporting our supporters and our teachers and our kids, there's often times where we have to make purchases that make things a little bit easier. Myself, I'll use an example. In my household, we purchased a Roomba. It's kind of nice. It vacuums the floors for us. It takes something off of our plate. Is it a little bit more expensive than a normal vacuum? Absolutely. But in the long run, it saves us time. It takes things off of our plate. So when we make purchases and have recommendations, there are recommendations for reasons, and we're not the experts in the room. So I'd like to point the emphasis back to the experts in the room, whether it's in the classroom or at administration. So I want to throw that out there and wish everybody happy holidays.
All right, board, anything else? I hope everyone has a restful winter break and happy holidays. Board, I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Cook, Mr. Ziegemeier. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries.